Hi, I'm Raegan, and this is my cousin Jason. And yeah, so I'm gonna be asking him questions about working, what he does for his job, and so yeah. So the first question is, where do you work?
I work for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, also known as NASA.
Where is your work located, and do you live there?
So NASA has 10 different centers all around the U.S. I work at the Ames Research Center, which is in Moffett Field, California. And yes, I do live there as well.
What do you do at your work?
Well, I am what's called an aerospace research engineer. And what I specifically do is we utilize, so one of the best resources that we have as humans and as specifically scientists is nature. Because there are certain plants and animals that have been around for thousands and millions of years, and they have had the time to develop and evolve into the current state that they're in. So what I do is specifically try to learn from a bird that's called the peregrine falcon. And what's special about the peregrine falcon is that it can adjust individual feathers along its wingspan to fly more cleanly through the air. And so my boss, what he decided was that it would be a good idea to apply the same concept to an airplane. So we can change the shape of an airplane's wing to fly more cleanly through the air. And the idea is that if we can do that right, we can save lots of money on fuel, and we can save the environment by not having to burn as much fuel.
Does it challenge you with new assignments or anything to do?
Yes, I'm challenged with new stuff to do all the time. And so specifically my role is I do computational modeling. And what that means is that I design the airplane on the computer, and I test it to see if we were to build it in real life, if it would perform the way we expect it to. And so there are a lot of different challenges to being able to build a whole airplane on a computer, as I'm sure you can imagine. And those are the challenges that I'm presented with all the time.
Are there things now that you are researching or discovering that you could talk about?
Yeah, so I told you about my first project that I'm working on. Another project that we're also working on is it's to reduce the noise of helicopter blades. And the reason being is that there are several companies. Have you ever heard of Uber?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Uber is looking to develop flying taxis. Okay, so they're little helicopters that can hold one passenger, and they lift up vertically, straight off the ground, and they fly you to your destination and drop you off. Now the problem with that is, if you've ever been around a helicopter, they're very, very loud. So you don't want a big, loud helicopter flying to your house to pick you up all the time. So what we have to do is make them a lot quieter so that they can fly around the city and everybody can go about their business as usual. And that's one of the research projects that we're also starting to work on.
But what did it take to get you to the point where you are now?
Well, it took a lot, actually. The first thing was that I had to decide that this is what I wanted to do. And then once I did that, I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in aerospace engineering at Ohio State University. So that took 5 years of schooling. Lots of math, lots of science, and then I did a second master's degree. I went overseas and I lived in France for a year and got a second master's degree in aerospace engineering. So altogether, 6 years of school, and now I am where I am. 6 years of school after high school, that is.
What are your career goals?
My career goals are to use my research to make the world a better place. Okay, and I want to be an astronaut, so I want to go to the moon or to Mars and see what the Earth looks like from there. I think that would be pretty cool.
What is the most interesting thing you have or had the opportunity to do?
Okay, so At the Ames Research Center, we have a lot of really cool facilities. Have you ever heard of a wind tunnel? Yes, you have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm going to explain it just in case some of your classmates haven't. But the name is pretty self-explanatory. It's a big, long tunnel, and you use a fan that's at one end of it, and it spins really fast to pull air in from outside, and it pushes it then through the tunnel. And the reason that we do that is so that we can test out aircraft before we actually fly them in the air. At the Ames Research Center, we have the biggest wind tunnel in the world. And so, the propeller that runs our wind tunnel is 4 stories high, which means a building that has 4 floors. It's that tall. And so my cool experience was I got to go in this wind tunnel, and I got to see when they were testing a specific project. And so a very new project that they're looking to develop is a robot that can explore the surface of Mars. It's a new Curiosity rover, okay? And then when we launch this robot, as it starts to approach the surface of Mars, it's traveling at 1,000 miles per hour, which is faster than my voice is traveling to your ears. That's how fast it's going. And we have to slow it down to 0 miles per hour so that it can land safely on the surface without crashing. So what they use is a big parachute, okay? And this parachute, basically, it catches all the air and it makes sure that it slows all the way down so that it can land safely. But they have to make sure that when they deploy this parachute or when they shoot it out, that it doesn't tear any holes in it. Because if that were the case, then it would crash and we would lose all that research and all that time we put into that rover. So I got to see them testing that parachute, which was pretty cool because it's a big giant parachute in this huge wind tunnel. The wind tunnel is 80 feet by 120 feet. It can fit a full airplane inside of it. Or maybe a little bit easier for you to picture is if you stacked elephants on top of each other, you could fit 5,500 elephants inside of the wind tunnel.
Who's the most interesting person you have met?
The most interesting person that I have met is a guy by the name of Harrison Schmitt. And Harrison Schmitt was actually the most recent astronaut to have walked on the moon. So he actually got to go to the moon and walk around and do some experimentation while he was up there. He was a geologist. And so what geologists do is they study rock formations. And they were analyzing the surface of the moon to see what the surface is made out of. And so Harrison Schmitt, after he was an astronaut, also became a U.S. Senator in the state of New Mexico. So he was an astronaut and a politician, which for me is a very interesting man. He had a lot to share about his experience in seeing the moon, the Earth from the moon. And he came to NASA to give a seminar. He gave a speech to all of us, all the employees at NASA, so we got to hear him speak and introduced himself to us afterwards, and we got to ask him questions, kind of like you're asking us. Or you're asking me, sorry.
Mm-hmm. What made you want to pursue what you're doing now?
Well, when I was young, probably your age, my dad, he always taught me that doing anything you want in this world is as easy as ABC. So the first step, C, is conceive. Conceive means you need to come up with whatever it is that inspires you or fascinates you or just interests you in this world. Second step, B, believe. You need to believe in yourself and your ability to do whatever it is that you come up with. And then with a little hard work and dedication, the third step is achieve. You will achieve your goals. So conceive, believe, achieve. It's easy as ABC. But the first thing you need to do is come up with an idea, something that inspires you. And then believe in yourself. And along the way, you got to work hard, of course. That's always part of it. You will achieve your goals. That's exactly what I did. So for me, I was very interested in planes, spaceships, anything that flies. That was always really cool to me. And so I believed in my ability to do all because I knew it took a lot of math, it took a lot of science, but I believed that I could handle it, and I could. I learned along the way that it wasn't easy, but you can do it if you put your mind to it, and now here I am.
So that wraps everything up. That's all the questions. Thank you, Jason, for doing this for me. I hope it was very interesting because he works for NASA.
Thank you, Raegan. I had a lot of fun.
So, yeah. Bye.